I think that unfortunately the only thing that side proposition has actually managed to prove in today's debate is that either they do not listen to our contextual reframe or cannot prove to us how their context is inherently better than ours. It is clear that we have won today's debate. Strategically, we see because of their mischaracterization and lack of engagement on our contextual reframe, in addition to their contradictions, which I pointed out in my case, we're winning today's debate on the strategic basis. Let me show you analytically how we're winning today's debate. There are 2 points of contention throughout today's conversation. Firstly, on the legitimacy of choice, and secondly, on the efficacy of their policy. Let's address the first issue on the legitimacy of choosing what their side chooses. They tell us how there's no viable possibility to surrender because of 2 fundamental reasons. They say, firstly, Ukraine literally just like they're not capable, whatever. They didn't really analyze how that is the case, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Secondly, they tell us how they had like this initial belief that they would win because their identity, whatever. We had like 2 main responses. We told you that firstly, given the nature of Ukraine, they believe that their lives aren't worth living if they are subjugated to an oppressive regime that, in terms of like culturally and systemically. We tell you that's exactly why they didn't initially surrender to Russia, because of how greatly they value their culture and their identity. Absolutely no engagement from Proposition Bench. Secondly, what we tell you is that they are like in fact capable of militarily overpowering Russia because they are doing so currently with the help of the USA and European assistance. Still no engagement on that contextual basis. What we see, panel, strategically, because of the fact that they haven't engaged properly and they cannot prove that point, they are losing that point, we're winning that point of the debate. I told you in my speech that firstly, we preserve autonomy, and that is one of the fundamental incentives of today's debate. Secondly, we tell you how we preserve identity, which is another incentive. And thirdly, I told you how contextually, these are the primary incentives of our actors being Ukraine. We told you that given the historical nature and the context of today's debate, that's why it's contextually more relevant and more important. They didn't engage in that. They give some utilitarian argument, which I'm going to address on the second issue now in terms of efficacy. They tell us how their trade-off is better because, we're going to have peace. 3 things. Firstly, notice the golden staircase idealistic argument that they bring up. They didn't, secondly, they gave absolutely no rational and analysis as to how that is actually the case. We saw this in their second speaker. They say, oh no, we're going to have peace, we're going to have all these good things. Notice how they didn't prove how that's actually going to occur. Therefore, we cannot consider it to be true in today's debate. Thirdly, even if they did achieve the intended goal, peace by the historical and cultural fiat of Ukrainian incentives is not the result of a ceasefire, but 2 things. Firstly, societal and cultural identity. That is the entire reason why Ukraine exists in the first place, because they want to be separate from Russia. They didn't engage in this. Secondly, we tell you how holistically peace, even if they did achieve it, is not the metric by which we are judging today's debate, and they have not engaged on that contextual reframe. We told you that we are acting in the interest of Ukrainian cultural incentives. That is fundamentally more important. But then onto the second bit, which is very important. They tell us how there's no culture to protect if everyone's getting obliterated off the map, off the Eastern European map. Notice the mischaracterization here, panel. Firstly, we tell you that the issue of mass extinction in Ukraine does not exist to the degree we tell you. Well, they tell us. We tell you that because of the fact that Ukraine is dominating in the war with the help of USA, that issue isn't as big as they like to exaggerate. Secondly, we tell you that the same issue is likely to exist again and on their side as well. We tell you it looks like Holodomor genocide in cultural Ukrainians when Russia had power over the Ukrainian region. We tell you it looks like the persecution of LGBTQ and Muslim communities. It looks like the principle derived from the Sharpeville massacre that Zanu brought up. We value lives, we value identity, we achieve both, they do not. Strategically and analytically and contextually, we're winning today's debate. So proud.